All right, call the June 23rd Planning Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Brad Ray,
Here.
Terrence Van Buren, George Bousset,
Here.
Elizabeth Franick, Elizabeth Jared, Gary Mertig.
Yes, to be excused.
Okay, thank you. Paul Wilharm,
Here.
Dan Grady,
Here.
Lisa Radke, I believe, is excused, and Charlie Ortman.
Here.
Thank you.
First, I'll look for an approval for the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in any changes, additions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Any public comment in the room? By all means, come up to the microphone.
Thank you. Hi. So I'm an Ashland resident, and I want to start by thanking you all for doing this work on planning. And the visioning that you're doing is critical for steering the county, of course, and as well as.
Can you give us your name?
My name is Megan
Okay.
Salmon Tumis. Thank you. And yeah, the work on collecting input is so important for developing collaborative relationships. And I want to make 2 comments on agenda item 5C, the draft plan elements. I was able to use the link and look through those. And I love that the chapter on utilities and community facilities had a section on renewable energy and energy efficiency. And I also felt like the information included there, while nice and granular, is sadly really outdated and really could use an update on what are the current energy expenditures that the county is putting forth, what are some efforts the county has made to keep those expenditures low by improving energy efficiency. And I also felt like it could include broader information about the energy usage throughout the county from different sources. And I feel like it's a really critical issue, as was highlighted in the economics chapter about how much money leaves the county, right? It was something like 44 million is leaving the county on these energy sources that are not local and independent. And so I think that really makes it clear how important that is to have that information there for guiding future planning. And then just a minor language point also I wanted to make in the chapter on issues and opportunities in the table section on land use, when you refer to the siting and land use impacts of solar development. I thought it was important to distinguish that you're probably not talking about distributed solar there. You're probably talking about large scale solar. And so including that term large scale, I think would be important, because that's really where the issues and opportunities are for county level planning. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Yeah. One question here. Oh, Megan, can you say that? We got a question for you.
So can't hear it.
Sorry. We
Use
have
mic, please.
Northwest Regional Planning helping us with updating these things. Do you have resources that we could point them to so that they can do a more effective update of what is present in the county?
Great question. So there are publicly available databases that can give spatial information on energy production by fuel type. And so that would be a great way to gather information on what are the energy sources within the county. And I could send a link to anybody that's the right person for that, for those databases. Okay. But as far as like the county energy expenditures, I think that would be not publicly available information unless it's been published like it was in 2009. So that's probably why it's not up to date.
Any other comments, questions? Thanks for coming in, Megan. We greatly appreciate it. Feel free to stick around and oh, sorry, George does have a question here.
Yeah, Megan, many thanks for your looking at this. So the utilities section is my responsibility. So if you wouldn't mind sending me the links to the sources that you're aware of, that would be really helpful. And I'd be happy to speak with you in more depth on these issues. Greatly
Thanks.
appreciated. Thanks for coming to the public comment.
Thanks, George. I'll do that.
All right. Is there any other public comment in the room or online? Anybody online that wants to make public comment? All right. Then move on to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our June 16th meeting?
Boussaint moves to approve.
Van Buren will second.
Got a motion and a second. Are there any additions, edits, changes that need? Then all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to 5, the discussion and action items. Oh, George,
Question.
you got your
I
hand
just
raised.
don't know. There's a person online at 715-696-C. 715-969-6732. I just don't know who that is.
That's Elizabeth Franick. That's me.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay.
Thank you.
So 5A, goals and objectives review is what we have on there. That's where we kind of left off last meeting. If I recall, we were going to go back to some language on the natural resources one first. I think it's 19, yeah. I see that my pages are all out of order. Okay, perfect. Elizabeth, did you have something specific that we were coming back to, or do we have what was written? And can you blow that up a little bit on the screen with who's ever sharing? I forget. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I remember the one place that we were struggling was with natural resources goal number 3.
Yeah.
And I do have a
Page
reword
15.
of that, if people want to hear it, where it said, increase outdoor recreation capacity by identifying needs and creating a plan, that one.
Yep, I think that's the one.
So I just spent a moment to try to get that, saying what I think we're trying to say there.
I think the one last number, this probably updated.
Okay. How about if we say increase outdoor recreational capacity by first identifying opportunity gaps and next creating a plan that addresses the needs?
Comment.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah, if you deem it appropriate, I would say add in for the improvement of quality of life. Because remember, in our overall mission statement, we talk about the quality of life and developing outdoor recreation areas and facilities in Ashland County to meet outdoor recreational needs of county residents and visitors. And to me, I could amend. I don't not insistent upon it, but would tie into our overall mission to say to refer to in order to enhance the local quality of life. People know that we're focused on them. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but that's my comment.
I-
Beth, can I double check your wording?
Sure.
So I've got right now, to improve local quality of life, we seek to increase outdoor recreational capacity by first identifying opportunity gaps and next creating a plan that sustainably develops outdoor recreation areas and facilities. Is that not, I don't think I caught the last half of
Okay.
what you.
Yeah, my last half was just, and next creating a plan that addresses the needs. Yes.
I just have a word, creating a responsive plan. Would that cover all that, Beth? If we said and create a responsive plan, would that shorten that up a bit and be satisfactory to you?
Oh, instead of that addresses the needs. So we just ended at and create,
Yes.
next creating a responsive plan. Yeah,
And that's
that works
just,
for me.
I'm just throwing that out there.
And that addresses the need. Just end it plain.
Just end it.
Could we say by increasing outdoor recreation instead of we seek to increase?
Where I think we do just say increase outdoors recreational capacity by first is how we have it now.
So putting to improve local quality of life at the end rather than at the
Oh,
beginning,
you've got it
because
changed.
otherwise the sentence doesn't work. So increasing, okay.
I do wonder if it's assumed that we're always trying to increase the quality of life. I'm wondering if we have to, if we state it here, I'm wondering if we have to state it everywhere. Just a curious, just throwing that at you, George, I guess.
Okay, I can comment. I'm particularly interested in this particular character aspect of it myself. And I think so I'd like to see it included here. I'm all in favor of being included overall, but I'd like to make a point of it here in terms of our outdoor recreation capacity.
Say that again, George.
The question is, if we talk about quality of life here, do we have to talk about it everywhere since it's our overall mission statement? And to me, it's important to emphasize it in certain parts of the plan. I don't know if it's particularly necessary to emphasize it in when we're talking about highways or transportation, maybe. But I'm particularly interested in seeing it noted in this section of outdoor recreation. Because I think that's a very actionable part of our plan where we have room as a county to make improvement. We'd love to see a better better funding for health and human services, but that might or might not be within our capacity. Anyway, I like including it here. Yeah, I'm not going to make a fuss if we don't want, if others don't want to.
Elizabeth, how do you feel about that?
Truthfully, I think it's unnecessary in this.
Increase. I lean that way as well. I don't know if that makes it seem like the only reason that we're doing this is to increase the quality of life. And I think there's more than just increasing the quality of life for having outdoor recreation. And so I think leaving off that ending that plan there and getting to improve local quality of life. I think, again, the overall mission statement of this plan is to have, like Elizabeth said, we're going to be working towards that throughout all aspects of it, and sort of highlighted here means that are we avoiding it other places that we don't highlight it. So George, you all right if we just ended at responsive plan? Oh, are you all right if we just end at responsive plan in that highlighted section? Just go ahead and delete that.
I'm looking at it.
Well, you got two.
Oh, well, maybe I would just change the word to say while adding to local quality of life. That doesn't make it exclusive.
But then are we taking away the objectives of this plan that we're going to say that helps economic development, chasing grants, zoning, all those other things? We're not saying that in the goal.
We're just working on this one right now.
Or what if we go back to that meets the needs of county residents and visitors like it used to be?
Okay.
Okay. Does that work? That meets the needs of county residents and visitors?
I note that do we have to say that in all the other sections then too? The same idea. But I'm fine. I'm happy. Don't want to belabor it.
Anybody have any more questions on that one? Are we good with that? Go ahead, Charlie.
Would just like to quote Mark Twain. Said I'd have written it shorter if I had time.
Always agree with that statement. All right. Yep. And then I think we were good with the agricultural goals, and we left off on the cultural. Well, did we finish the cultural resources as well? So we should be moving to economic development goals and objectives, action steps. Is that so? Yeah. All right. Yep. Go ahead. Oh.
Just wondering as far as G, H, and I, it feels like there's being put restrictions. For myself, it doesn't feel like Ashland County has grown at all in the last probably 40, 50 years. So it just kind of concerns me of why would we want to put more restrictions when this place is not growing already?
I think these come directly from the farmland preservation plan that we just pulled out that has that. And so we're managing other plans to make sure that we're staying consistent across plans. And so I would think that the work that went into the farmland preservation on preserving productive soils, minimizing pollution, and voluntary conservation programs would be along those lines of in the farmland preservation and maintain them here as well in this one. Go ahead.
I appreciate that consistency and feel that there's nothing in G, H, or I that prevents growth.
So I guess my question is, what's the meaning of I, that you would increase the numbers of acres that are protected?
I can't speak to the Farmland Preservation Committee that when they came up with that. Dan, can you?
Yeah, Charlie's the only one who was there for all the meetings. And Carisha. But I would note, Marcus, I agree with your sentiment. I would note that it says voluntarily protected. So landowners are voluntarily doing it.
Getting it into the ag, the zoned ag area. What's the other one? You remember, Carisha? There's two of them. But some farmers, they offer tax breaks and they're trying to get more people into them, but sometimes they just don't appeal to the farmer. So they're trying to find ways for that to work more effectively. And minimizing the water pollution and erosion from farmland. I think that's all with your manure spreading plan. What the hell's the name of that? Why am I forgetting these things when they're important? And I think enhance the preservation and protection of agriculturally productive soils is kind of broad. And that's the whole point of the ag plan itself. I guess if that wasn't in there, it wouldn't change. That's basically described by the two items below it in a big measure. But nutrient management plan. They're trying to get everyone's supposed to be in that, but we don't enforce that. It's all carrot. So, and I don't know, you probably know some people that are in it and some that aren't, right? But that's what those two are all about, at least. Maybe there's more. So G, G clearly, it's a good statement, but it's very broad. H and I are specific things you can do. Does that clear anything up for you? Still have the same ideas about it?
Well, I think in the farmland preservation map, the map that was created was all farmers who are already taking part in farmland preservation and getting the tax credits. So we didn't add any new properties to it. In fact, we made it smaller because it was just property owners who wanted to be part of it. So the rest of it's unrestricted.
Yeah. There's no hammers up there.
So yeah, I agree. The goal is not to stop development.
And I just wanted to mention, so I did attend most of the meetings and I did bring this up just because we don't want to limit the growth of Ashland County. And from what I understood as well, it's voluntarily tax credits for the farmland pres or nutrient management. And if you want to be getting those tax credits, you have to be a part of the program within that area. But otherwise, it's unrestricted, like Dan had said.
Does that settle that? All right. So now we'll move on to the economic development. The goal states, as is right now, is develop and maintain a strong economy through collaboration that supports residents and the community with services, opportunities, and amenities consistent with the county's rural character. We good with that? Any comments? Awesome. Oh. Microphone, please.
I think it is okay. Develop and maintain a strong, I was wondering, in many places, we say continue to develop and maintain a strong economy or continue to support. And I'm curious as to why we sometimes say continue to and other times do not. Because
As I have read it through, the continue tos always mean we have been doing this, so we're not going to make it an operational item that we invent or work on specifically as part of the county plan because we already do it. Because the goals are supposed to go with, the sub goals, and then they're supposed to go with the action steps. So it's signaling that that thing is not going to be in an action step, I think.
George, go ahead.
I don't know if anybody agrees, but I'm still bothered by the word rural. It makes it sound like a backwater, which we kind of are, but I might prefer something like the county's natural character. I mean, if you're gonna keep the rural character forever, are you not gonna develop any businesses here? It seems a little restrictive.
How about just the county's character?
I'm good with
Yeah, I
that.
mean, you put natural in there, are we always gonna be hugging trees or what?
But you can probably hear the birds tweeting outside my window, so that's, natural character.
I think rural is really significant in this statement and it can't be taken out lightly.
There is a mix of characters in this county, right?
That's what I would argue is that the county as a whole, where we are currently sitting, I would not consider rural.
Right. It's not like busy. It's not like DC but it's.
I don't know, when I'm
I don't
turning
know
on
how
to
to
Highway
describe
2
it.
there, I sometimes have to wait 3 minutes.
I would describe it as laid
How
back.
about diverse character?
Diverse? That's, yeah.
We talked last week about, the potential of like the Highway 13 corridor getting developed and businesses all down Highway 13, which to George's point is that considered rural if we allow for development like that, or that development happens? But I also think people do like the less populated portion of the county. And so I feel that county's character sums up what anybody wants to think. They can think about whatever the character they think, and then we're not stepping on toes.
I think we're
and
worried about
defining it ourselves.
protecting those different characters.
Yep.
Called characters too. So maybe the wording needs to talk about ensuring the survival of the different characters. I mean, because rural is most under threat, I believe. I mean, that's why we've got farmland protection plans and so I don't know. Do we even want to try to address it here under the economic development goals part?
Yes.
But I think the county's just saying county's characters does that. And I don't think we need to define what that character is.
I'm with you, Brad. I like that.
I'm wondering if there's been a survey done recently and what people say they choose, what they love about our county, because it's been my experience that people overwhelmingly say they want to be here because of our rural character.
Does anybody remember from the survey that was out last year? What sort of, did they give us a word cloud on describing?
By and large, it was all the natural resources stuff. It was the lake, it was the forests, it was the green areas, it was, but yeah, I mean, and it was just over 200 people answered it. It was a countywide survey that, NWRPC and we put together. But there were several different questions about priorities. And so we could look back to those at any time if we want to. I should also say they're also all posted on SharePoint.
Experientially, I have to agree with Beth's assessment. When I talk to people about what they like about up here, it's the non-crowdedness, the farms, what few are left, the open spaces. So does that mean that we highlight that to protect, kind of like George wanted to highlight quality of life in the last one that we bailed out on?
Yep.
We do address it in the mission, the vision of the county, I thought. So where do we highlight them and where do we not?
So it is kind of duplicate, because again, the vision statement says that with our updated, we envision Ashland County as a place where quality of life is the highest priority for residents and where visitors are welcome. We value the vitality of our culturally diverse community and the special blend of rural, village, and small city life among the pristine lakes, rivers, fields, and forest. And it goes on. So I think it's there, and it's one of these redundant things again that we don't need to highlight, because if we're highlighting it in one spot, we need to highlight it every spot.
I lean that way too, but I'm sorry, George. Go
ahead. I mildly disagree with that perspective, because we're working on the implementation section, and to efficiently refer back to the overall mission seems appropriate because of these elements are now referring to implementation. Small point.
So George, are you saying you want rural back in it?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I don't mind some things referring back to the mission statement, even though it might feel like it's redundant. Seems to me it's appropriate to have a link back to the mission so that it doesn't get forgotten as people are working through the details. But that's just my perspective.
This is Elizabeth Franek. What about, is it appropriate to speak?
Yes, yeah, go ahead, Liz.
Okay. What about the county's rural and diverse character?
From an editorial standpoint, these aren't so long that a few more words at the end really are going to make or break anything. And if somebody feels strongly about something, I'm willing to do, as long as it doesn't change the meaning or the plan or the intent. I mean, obviously we should try to make it as short as possible, but when I was paying 10 cents a word for, transmission in the military, that doesn't apply here. So we don't have to make it, we don't have to edit out every bit of what might seem superfluous to one or the other of them. If it makes George happy and doesn't stifle it, if it makes Liz happy and doesn't change it, if it makes Beth happy and doesn't change it, or it's a little clearer, maybe a little, but so what, right? That's my opinion on it.
Go ahead, George.
I guess my basic point is that if one of these items does not create a link back to the basic mission statement, then what is it even doing in the plan? So I think somehow you have to make these link very efficiently, but back to the mission statement.
Well, how about county's quality of life?
I like it.
Quality of life, all right? And instead of rule and diverse character, the quality of life, back to the quality of life thing?
Yeah.
No. I'm riding or dying on rural because I think it's absolutely what people want. And I don't agree that even sitting in downtown Ashland, we're not in a very rural, small town community. And
So George, to Charlie's point here, are you okay if it still says rule?
Well, look, I can live with it, but because we've traditionally lived with that. I'm only concerned about having a significant appropriate development opportunity occur in some part of the county, and some people coming back at us and saying, but that's inconsistent with our rural character. I'm concerned this is economic development goal.
Yeah.
And I don't want someone saying, oh, you said it has to be consistent with our rural character, so let's just have small farms and forests. No, if there's an appropriate, significant economic, industrial, or services industry development that fits with the community's quality of life, then I'm all for it. And I don't want people arguing that it's inappropriate because we are a rural county.
I would say that, like we talked about last time, nothing that we put in this plan is going to restrict the planning and zoning. And so if it's zoned to do something and build a big industrial park, I don't think that's outside of our purview anyway. And so I don't think having rural character stops that any sort of development.
Well, I disagree. I think our zoning has to be consistent with our plan.
We'd have to change the vision statement too then.
Yep.
So, I think it's a fence that, but we can, obviously we're gonna, if an opportunity comes up that some folks would think challenge the rural aspect of it, we would take it into consideration. We do that all the time. So our goal is to, mainly these things should say try in front of all of them anyway.
Right.
Because that's all you can do with this. It's not legislatively binding or binding on the board. It's just this is what we'd like to see. And I think so within those understandings, consistent with the county's rural character is fine, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Paul.
I hate to belabor this, but is it not a legal requirement that new ordinances and provisions be consistent with our long-term plan? I thought that was a legal requirement. If I'm wrong, happy to be wrong.
The average reader is going to connect with the word rural. It's a warm fuzzy.
Yeah, I think we're gonna just keep rule in, George. It seems like the majority of the committee feels that it's appropriate to be in there, and so I think we're gonna keep that. Dan, go ahead.
I'm okay with that.
To George's point, I mean, we do have to do our zoning and according to what this plan says. So, I don't think there's anything inconsistent with what we want to do with growth and zoning with rural. But to his point, it is true. We have to, the comp plan is what we point back to for everything. It's also what Erica points to with grants. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I don't think it's a stop a big company from coming in either, to be honest.
I talked to a gentleman over in the noon hour from Mississippi. He got deported up here for quality of life, no other. So it's something to think about. And quality of life also keeps a constant thread through what we're doing, I think.
All right, let's go to each individual objectives. Rather than read them, can everybody see what's on the screen? Zoom in 10% more or something.
See.
Somebody have something with C? Maybe that was just back feedback. Go ahead, Beth.
Well, I have something with A. I just found it different that we say recognizing that research shows that this contributes to a successful workforce when we don't always give justifications for each. Perhaps it's because people might not make the connection, but otherwise, if you think that it's intuitive that people would make the connection, I think we could put a period after the word in county, after the word county.
I agree with that. Hearing nothing, we'll move on. Oh.
My brain isn't as sharp or quick as it used to be, but it was a thing where folks didn't really know that the research, I mean, now and now the research is solid. I guess I'm just, and it can have a period after it. I don't know what adding that, I mean, no one's going to come in and ask us about the research, show me this or show me that, but I guess it was so important. I mean, I remember when I was made aware of the ties between, you know, reading to children in the womb and how that affected their third grade reading scores, so they would graduate from high school. And it was transformative for me. So I guess I just want to make sure that this isn't going to help us by leaving it in. And I can't see that it will, but like I said, I'm not the smartest sword in the drawer. And that's my only comment. Thank you.
I think people are making the connections between child care and economic development. So should we just add increased child care and early childhood development initiatives for the county? Because that would sort of like, I think.
Go ahead, Beth.
And so then the same thing applies for letter C. We have a lot of justification that I'm wondering if it's even necessary. We could just put a period after county facilities. The rest is justification.
Brad had made a comment on an earlier version of this. It says B does not need to be here because it's already being done.
Well, I don't know. I think as we go into that, yeah, that was probably a year ago, and thinking, do we need objectives that we're currently doing? And the next one, it says, we're already doing this, but it should maintain an objective because we need to continue to improve infrastructure. But and that's, yeah, after going through the green dots is, I think, I think maybe just rephrasing it is maintain open county budgeting process, you know, instead of like, it seems like we're not doing it when it says open up the county budget process, and we are. I mean, lot of people have, contacted us every time we do a budget. And I think that that's probably where it was coming from is let's just change the wording.
When you describe what you want for the county in vision, and then you're gonna, independent of what you know the county does, you're gonna list all those things that you want to see. And then just happenstancically, some of those things you're gonna be doing.
Right.
Those are your green dots, so you
Yeah.
don't get rid of them.
No,
Okay.
go ahead, Beth. Go ahead.
I'm wondering how you were able to enter this document and add comments, because if I could, I would.
So the link that Carisha sent out after last meeting, that's the SharePoint site, allows board members to go in and do track changes within there.
Oh, excellent.
And yeah, and so that's why I had her send that back out, is because I couldn't find it anymore. But the link is there
Okay.
on the email that she sent out last week.
Carisha, can you just send it to Beth again? Thank you.
So
Thanks.
wonderful thing to go
Yeah.
through, because I hate paper and I have plenty of it now. George first.
Yeah, I want to ratify that at a very difficult time using those links with SharePoint. Couldn't save edits. Can't even find a document that you're using right now online using any of the links. So it's partly my incompetence, but it does make things difficult. So maybe with practice, we'll all get better at it.
You're in good company, George.
So this Word doc that I am editing, I specifically asked Emily for the Word doc and her most updated version. So I don't think she had incorporated all the edits from people since like the 16th. And so I don't think this version has been uploaded to SharePoint that we're working from today.
I think, George, I reached it through the agenda link. That's how I could get to the one that we're looking at now. But anyway,
But
if
that's a PDF. That's,
oh,
yeah, it's not a Word document.
I see,
So,
I see.
we'll get after today, we'll get the Word document that Erica's using right now onto SharePoint.
I have a rewrite of letter D where we say strengthen the county's image as a desirable place for businesses and residents. I just wondered if we should just say market the county's assets.
I like market better than strengthen as the verb.
Although I do wonder to whom, where, and why, but I can leave that alone.
Beth, are you saying market the county as a desirable place for businesses and residents?
I just
Is that
said
what
the
you're-
county's assets.
Just that period? Okay. So is the point of D to portray us as desirable to businesses, or just market our assets and whoever likes those assets will come? I guess, what are we tailoring, what are we marketing to? And do we need to say that or not?
Well, a business is not a person. You can't market to a business. You're marketing to the business person. So I feel like we don't have to distinguish. We're talking to people. People are businesses.
That business may have 5 million stockholders, though.
How do you mean? What do you mean? Mhm.
You're talking to the business, the board of directors.
But even the board are people and the stockholders are people, so.
But they're making economic decisions. That's
I think, to meet the economic development, no matter what size business, we want to market our assets to that, those companies that want to come and the people that want to come. So. I think we do with, oh,
Can I suggest with F that we delete plug the leaks? Just leave that, the rest of that sentence and then delete the parentheses?
yes.
Item
F.
F.
What about letter E? I just coming into this new, I just kind of wonder on some of this stuff. Like to me, the youth is like, it's our future. So I wonder what or how, who's in charge of this stuff, and is there any type of background with letter E?
I think that was in the 16 plan. And I think we didn't do anything on the 16 plan to do it, but
So when Emily gets back, we will then be going over all the action steps for all the portions of this plan. And I guess we won't talk about it today, but it does say under number 69 in the action steps, identify and coordinate with educational institutions and workforce training. I mean, I think that one's probably aimed at retaining youth workers, possibly other action steps within here, but that's part of what our next part of the job is.
I had the same reaction as Marcus on that one. I feel like we have to be careful that we're no, like that saying, no talking about us without us. So if we're talking about young people, we should make sure that whoever helps with letter E, we make sure that we have young people kind of leading that action step.
I agree, Beth, but it's hard to find. Hard to find some. Do we have any ideas? Well, do we want to talk about this, as Erica suggested, when we get to the action part?
well, we can talk about it now, as the objective, if the objective is included. But yes, I think that's true. But maybe Marcus is the young person that we have here because he's probably the youngest one around. So, but yes, I think Charlie is right. It's, you know, the last two meetings, we've now had at least one public participant, so that's always good. But it's been really hard. When we did the survey, that was on Facebook and blasted everywhere, and we had 212 respondents or whatever it was. And in a county of 16,000, that's not very good return rate. But
So I would have to say that I agree with Marcus 100%, and so did we in 16 when we put it in there. It's like farmers going away, our youth are going away as well, and so that needs us. Hopefully we can find some levers, but we can't get rid of it. But I'm good with Erica's suggestion as well.
I guess I would say the limitation to E and many other things about this plan is staff being able to solicit and collect information like that. Our community development educator is Lissa. So but I don't know anyone else who actually works for the county that could do something like that.
Well, that's also something we can talk to the school district about, because they're the ones who are really doing the retention of young people. You know, they have the welding program there now, and they're teaching a bunch of trades at the school, and trades that this local community is asking for. So that'd be something we should work with the schools on.
H and I, H seems to be about natural resources, human resources, social, political resources. And I is renewable energy. And does that belong in economic development? Was a question that was put in.
In response to that question for I thought maybe we could rewrite it that says promote economic development that offsets its own energy demands. In that way, it kind of says why we're putting it in here.
That would probably be I, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I was responding to the comment, is this economic development? And I thought about it and I thought maybe if we phrased it as promote economic development that offsets its own energy demands, it kind of links the idea with economic development.
That kind of goes along with what finance committee is talking about with the solar farm.
Yep.
Just so everybody else knows, finance committee has been talking about a solar farm down where the new transmission line is going to be going through, somewhere there. We have 20 acres of land on Farm Road. And so one of the ideas is to create a solar farm there. One, raise revenue for the county, but two, also to put the land to good use. And county not having to give it up, you know, we can still use it later. But so it goes along with what Beth, you were saying, and
May I be recognized?
You're recognized.
Okay, we have an expert in renewables sitting in the audience, and I was hoping we could just make a motion to let her raise her hand and speak when she feels like it, in response to some of these that are like renewable energy, if she chooses.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Okay, you can make that call yourself.
We're just gonna maintain it open. Feel free if you have something to help us.
May I ask her if she has anything to say right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the rest of the sentence in I?
Go ahead.
Send anybody, Megan? Any company? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Beth, what about this, the rest of I, where we had the education, promote efficiency? Finding incentives.
To me, a lot of times we seem to give the pre-step and the pre-step and the pre-step and then what we're going for. And sometimes I feel like if we promote energy efficiency and renew, it implies in promotion, it implies the things you'd have to do, which are raise funds or educate, or sometimes we break it all down and other times we get to the kernel. And by and large, I feel like let's stick with the kernel because otherwise all of these pre-words get kind of crazy.
So just get rid of the rest of it. Just promote economic development that offers energy, that offsets its energy usage. Does that work for everybody? Promote economic development that offsets its energy usage. It could be renewable or more efficiency. I don't think it has to power itself, right?
No, just off, and it doesn't mean that it has to completely do it, but if we're going to promote,
And maybe
any
it's
kind of
help,
development.
that help offsets. That help offsets energy usage, yeah. Get rid of its, just energy usage, yeah. No, because energy efficiency could be a big part of that. Is it doesn't necessarily, it can use the well, okay, I see what you mean, but Beth, do you have a way to help use that? Because I like the offset because it doesn't mean that it's just renewable energy. It's being more energy efficient. You know, our Excel Energy plant that uses a large amount of biomass to do that.
Does offset also need to reduce? Because if it does, then I just found a meeting and I'm fine.
The development is going to be, it might be reduced, it might be more efficient, it might be adding energy back to the grid. And go ahead, Terry.
No, gotta find it again. Promote economic development that conserves energy usage.
We're trying to go to.
Yeah, because it's not just reduce usage, it's other things that can. It could be providing energy. It could be using energy more efficiently. It could be conserving energy. There's all these different things. And so the offset is that it's not taking energy away.
Well, well, I have the dictionary definition right here.
Go for it.
I mean, something that counterbalances, counteracts, or compensates for something else. Compensating equivalent. So, I mean, Brad's right. Energy efficiency would counterbalance it. Emerging technologies that we don't know what energy technology is going to be here in 5 years. But we could have fusion by then. I mean, who knows?
We won't.
We probably won't, but I'm just saying it could.
Go ahead.
We jumped G, and I thought G was problematic in that it's fairly redundant and it's not an action. It just sits there.
I'm fine deleting it.
And then H, I said, kind of equals a wordy D. It's more or less.
Yeah. Delete G. I'm fine deleting H because that's what I felt is like Erica's comment. It didn't really fit in there. So I'm good. Yep.
Energy.
Yeah.
Wait, Brad, but what are our major goals is to increase the tax base?
Right, but I think we're doing that by marketing the county's assets to businesses.
All right, just
I think we're doing that still. Doesn't everybody else? Or am I?
I think tax base is the whole name of the game for us.
Well, then back to D, can we add do things that like market assets to help increase the tax base? Does that work? Beth?
Well,
Gonna do that.
Well, that's
Successful. Generally reduce the tax.
yes.
well, I was kind of delighted that that was brought up, just like I was pretty delighted with this discussion of rural, because actually I think it allows us to finally look at, as a body, this idea that this artificial idea that the only way to increase a tax base is through economic growth, which I know is a mandate, but that is a man-made policy that's not even that old, that has been so problematic to all levels of government, other than the state that enacted it. So instead of just continuing down this road that incentivizes growth for growth's sake so that we can get our needed funds, which I am not denying. I am not denying that a county needs resource to function. What I am saying is that we keep going along with it and all the problems that's ensued, instead of looking at it and saying, let's start saying that policy has to change at the state level. And so that's all I'll say about that. But so if we are growing our economy so that we can increase a tax base, that's not a reason to grow an economy. We need a tax base separate from that. And it puts the people who want to conserve our natural resources at odds with the people who want a functioning government. I don't like to be in that situation. I want them both, but the problem is that policy. And that's what we should be going after, not
that-
going along with it.
That policy's been around since what, 2006 or so? It was under the Doyle administration where they first imposed levy limits. And we're literally stuck at 2012's levy plus net new construction. So, I mean, and we've had a lot of inflation in there. So tax base is the name of our game. Otherwise, we can't provide any of the services that we're required to.
And I think what Beth is acknowledging that, but what needs to happen is a change that we're not stuck at 2012 levy levels.
I agree, but that's not a decision that we can make other than voting for state legislators. I mean, that's a decision the state has to come to. And, there's one thing that we all need to remember about counties. We can only do what the state lets us do. We are an arm of the state, and we can only do what the state tells us we can do. All right, we're not like a city. We don't have home rule where we can control all sorts of things going on. We can't do that. We have mandates, and we can only do what they tell us to do. And I think that's an important factor that we all need to understand. In fact, there's a statute, I don't know, Erica, 59.25 or 56. But literally, it's just like the status thing I put out. The state literally told us we cannot do anything. So I do think it's important to recognize that tax base is really what makes this place livable. Otherwise, if we lose our tax base, we're not going to be able to provide the services that people want, need, and expect.
And I think we all understand that. I think we're just saying that we don't need to say that the goal is to increase the tax base. The goal is to increase economic development, and that might be unique ways. Yes, I know that the way statute is right now, it's through net new construction. But when we're saying market our assets for businesses, they might not build a new building, but yet they still are going to increase our tax base, just not net new construction.
Not if they buy an already existing building, unless they improve it. It's good. The tax base doesn't change.
But doesn't that help economic development of the county to take a vacant building and make it useful?
It won't change its property tax. Again, that's the way they.
Until it's reassessed. But that changes tax.
It still doesn't change our levy.
Just
houses or buildings get reassessed all the time, but our levy stays the same. It's just your property became more valuable than somebody else's property.
But we have the TIF district that allows the nice big apartment building that's shooting up right now.
Yep.
That won't increase the tax base.
It will, and that's what the only cities can do. in
We're
village.
getting into the weeds here, guys.
So,
I agree, George.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
So, but I basically agree with Brad that we all understand that the budget and taxes are important, but that's not an objective, in my opinion, that belongs in the comprehensive plan. I do have a point I'd like to suggest adding, because the guidance I took away from the county's convention last fall was, even though the county does not always have legal empowerment to influence something, we can have cultural influence on what happens in our county. And I would suggest the following as an action item: develop summary of county cultural values as guidance for prospective future large-scale commercial projects. In other words, before somebody comes in and wants to put in a 5 square mile solar field, or someone comes in and wants to put in a mega data center somewhere in Ashland County, we ought to be prepared with at least a summary of our cultural values about how these things would be acceptable here, where and how and under what circumstances, so that we're not fighting, so we're not behind the curve when something like this arises. So I'm suggesting that that'd be an appropriate objective for the future plan committee. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but that's my thought.
George, can you have that, can you read that off again, what you want? Or email it to
Right.
Erica?
Okay. So the idea is to have on the shelf a one pager basically that says, these are the circumstances under which we
No, just
do or
George.
do not approve of a large scale project. So the red like this: develop summary of county cultural values as guidance for prospective future large-scale commercial projects. If we get a really large-scale commercial project like the biofuels plant in Hayward, for instance, under what circumstance, how would we want them to do it so that it would be acceptable to us? And what are the things we want to tell them about with which our citizens would have issues, so they can, the developer can avoid those issues? I think it's a valuable thing to have on the shelf, and that was the guidance I took away from the county's convention last fall.
So you want a list of conditions under which we would find X project acceptable?
Large-scale commercial projects
Gotcha.
always raise issues.
Yes.
And we may not have prerogative under controlling the circumstances. It might be a public service commission. It might be a zoning question. It might be something where the state has not empowered us. But we can speak for the community in advance so that a developer knows how to fit into our community without blundering into it. The Texas-CAFO development of Reich's Farm some years back, they just chose a really terrible site. They just blundered into it, a place where they would not be able to dispose of all the pig manure that they were going to have to deal with. They did not have advanced understanding of what would work up here and what would not, and what would be acceptable to the population up here and what would not. And that could happen with a data center, that could happen with a power plant, that could happen with a transportation system, any large scale development, a large solar field like they're doing downstate. It's helpful if we figure out what we don't want them to do, so they can understand in advance what we don't want them to do, but we don't want to discourage them from coming here, because we do want their economic development if it's done in a good way.
Dan, isn't this large scale stuff regulated by the state already?
Yeah, so like a large solar, anything over a megawatt in solar would be regulated by the PSC. Yeah, a data center may well be regulated by the state instead. Large campgrounds are regulated by the state. They leave us out of it. But I get what George is saying. I mean, he's not saying to try to regulate, he's just saying that this is what we'd like to see and not see. So, I mean, I think
what it really is it's almost more of an action item in
Yes.
itself.
It's an action item.
That's something we have to do, but it can be in the objectives. It will go into an action item. But I think it could stay there. I think it's an action item of basically develop a survey to try to get community thoughts on stuff like this. And I think it's bad timing to do a survey because everybody's big on Enbridge Line 5 and everything's big on data centers going on. And so those opinions are going to probably swamp anything, but it's something that in a 10-year plan, maybe some of these things die down and it would be a better time to do that where we're not tainted by current projects that the county had no authority to do that, and we don't taint future projects that might be of interest to the county.
Right. I mean, you wouldn't even get to the point of developing these guidelines until a year or so down the road after this plan is all completed.
Yeah.
And just say it's an action item for the future to develop these guidelines. This guidance, they're not guidelines, they're guidance to anybody that wants to bring a big project here.
Yeah.
Let them know what we like. Anyway, that's what the law firm said.
I think we can definitely, I would say after the elections, we should start passing resolutions telling our legislators what we want to see with as far as these big projects go. So at least then we're taking action by asking our state legislators to do something that we want. So I mean, I think that's useful. And I think we should be doing that with everything, with economic development, with whatever kind of everything that let counties do more. Yes, maybe.
Charlie, you had something?
I can't hear anything.
Oh,
I apologize, George. We can make a list of actions or things to watch out for just based on the behavior of these data centers in communities all over the United States of bad things that have happened. So an initial list can be published that things we need to look out for, along with what do we think the community, what a survey would reveal. And also getting back to economy as a tax producer, if we remember, Ms. Tomas suggested that we update the numbers we're spending on renting energy and all. If we update that, and then we work seriously on plugging the leaks, we're going to save a lot of money. So that will be a money gain for the county by reducing expenses in some of these places that renewables are all ready to step in. So I would just make a plug for F, maybe really focusing on that as a starting point if we got to prioritize what we're going to work on first when we get done with this. Thank you.
go ahead, Beth.
Thanks. Thanks for bringing up the resolution. I was thinking that would be an actionable thing that we could pass a resolution to the state asking for a reconsideration of the coupling of growth to the tax levy and state, whereas we've been held to 2012, blah, blah, blah. It encourages not infill development. So leaving that behind. And I'm addressing your idea, George. I'm wondering if a more likely and more flexible way to go about what you're attempting to do, which I do really appreciate and think is the right thing, is to just make sure that we write something about transparency when large-scale commercial entities approach a board to start the negotiation process. It's the instinct of the company and the board to usually keep that very quiet for quite a while through the through the development of the idea. If we have something that says we will be a very transparent county when large-scale commercial entities approach us, then we get the brilliance of all of the people to develop what do we like and what do we not like. And we can address the actuality in front of us. Whereas if we just try to do that as a staff, overstressed staff or our small board, we won't get the best thinking and it'll be hypothetical. So I think the better route is through just assuring transparency early in the development stage.
I think you could add that on. You can just say, as guidance for prospective large-scale commercial projects and encouraging transparency of communication in those situations, something of that effect. Just add it in there. I think transparency is an important point.
Megan.
Thanks. I wanted to make a comment on some of the previous letters, so I don't know if I'm cutting short this conversation.
No, I think that's perfect.
Okay. Well, I've been looking at what's currently up there for letters H and I that are about making good economic utilization of our working forest lands in the county. And it's occurring to me that there's a third option for the economic utilization of these lands that doesn't fit perfectly into either H or I, and that's getting carbon credits for areas that stay forested. And we know, of course, Bayfield County has,
our credits are currently at market right now. So they've been put to market, so we're waiting for somebody to buy them.
Yeah.
So we're already.
Yeah, great. And
Yeah.
I was just thinking though, that also, if we're promoting, the promote in H and I are probably not just about the Ashland County forest lands, but also about private landowners, right? And so you could also promote like the American Family Forest Program, things that are more appropriate for those small scale landowners, if you wanted to include that as an option there. So.
Those carbon credit companies are actually marketing themselves to every property owner who owns X amount of forest. It doesn't make sense for them to do somebody who has an acre of forest, but if you have 50 or 100 acres, they are actually contacting property owners already. So it's the same with solar. Their solar companies are along power lines are contacting farmers about putting panels up because they can easily access the grid that way. So.
Comment.
But
Comment.
Go ahead, George.
I could build on Megan's comments a little bit because it points out there are sources of revenue to counties other than taxation. So we have a very small county forest. Bayfield has a very big county forest. They get a whole lot more revenue out of the county forest. But we can try to be looking at other ways of generating revenue for the county other than just raising or adjusting taxes. And I'm wondering, should we be lobbying the state to cede portions of state county forest to the county so that we could generate revenue from that forest? I mean, we could get creative about the ideas that are not taxation, but are increased sources of revenue for the county. We should be open to that idea.
But to the point, I think we probably could kind of merge H and I into one that just says greater utilization of county forest products and value-added production. And then does that hit the tourism recreation-based as well?
Not really.
H, I, and M actually all
And
overlap.
yeah, too. Go ahead, Charlie.
I'm sorry, I remembered something I wanted to talk about earlier. Right now, the resolution, are you planning a resolution to request more than just new construction in the tax?
Not until after the elections.
Would you also add the inflationary bump that they have not given us in 20 years?
Right. I mean, it's something the city should be doing too, but
Okay.
after the election, because we don't know who's going to be our representatives.
Right. Okay,
And we don't know who's going to be controlling the legislature.
all right. We've been talking about that at the city. We figured the inflationary bump had cost us 10 million over the last
Oh, yeah. it's-
20 to 10, 20 years.
Welcome to my-
And then also, is there state forest here to be ceded that could be ceded to the county in Ashland?
No, there isn't. There's a gigantic national forest, which we could, again, at the elections.
Talk to Tammy.
And whomever our new House member is going to be
Yeah.
about doing another vote payment, which they did in 22. Where they gave us 1.2 million, that LICTF, 1.2 million.
Comment?
So we could, that's another thing we could do is lobby Congress after the new Congress seats. And that could bring us lots of money too. But again, Congress has to do something, so.
George, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying the elections have nothing to do with this plan. This plan won't be finalized until significantly after the elections. The current elections are irrelevant as far as I can see.
Yeah, no, the statement was about what we're gonna do to lobby other things and we can't do anything until after the elections on that lobbying for other revenues.
Okay, thank you
Go ahead, Beth.
for the clarification.
Okay. I had taken a stab at a rewrite to that, so I can float that. I said, promote county forestry commodity and specialty products, specialty value added products that heighten our regional identity. That doesn't work in the good idea about carbon credits. But that was something to float.
You write that someplace or?
I've got notes.
Okay,
We're gonna have to take care of 3 at once.
yes.
I said I've got it in a note because we're gonna have to take care of 3 at once. Promote county forestry specialty value added products.
Forestry commodity and, because that refers to the pulp and all,
Yeah.
commodity and special value added products
Okay.
that heighten regional identity. If you can work in the carbon credit idea, that'd be great. Or maybe it's its own point.
We're already doing it.
Yeah. But
Right, but I think it's a good objective to have is that we're talking about value added products and value added is also carbon credits can be the value added product as well. So just specifically saying and programs, because there might be another one that's not just, and programs that use the value of the forest products or something along those lines. This is one that we might have to come back with wording to get. But I think we also then have the tourism and recreational base, which I think the county character kind of gets at, and the previous one. So I think we can maybe, I know George wants to make sure we keep recreation forefront throughout, but is it included in this kind of that's just commodity and that's forest products? We might need beneficial uses. Yeah, to K is the idea was to kind of put these all into one, but maybe they need to stay separate.
I'm happy to look at all of it, but I can't process it all literally right now. So I'm very happy to wordsmith this. Like, that's something I can do when I have a fresh brain and don't have a migraine.
Go ahead, Beth.
I had a curiosity about why we go into such detail about the county forest and have nothing about the lake. Is there a reason for that? Like commercial fishing and the tourism that the lake generates and all of that.
Charlie, you were on the last planning committee? You were on the last time we did the camp plan update? You were on the committee the last time we did an update. Maybe you can answer a question. Can you use the mic?
I was curious as to why we have so many bullet points about the county forest and nothing about the lake or Madeline Island for that purpose. I mean, those are pretty distinctive
We were,
qualities.
yeah, we were, I believe we were trying to redo Bayfield, but we don't have the amount of wood with forests to make the kind of money they are, but I believe we were trying to maximize what we could get out of our forest. And trying to think who else was on there. The lake, that's a good point. The city is doing lots of stuff to make the lakefront more accessible and I guess economic generative from putting in a new boat landing and cleaning it up with the Superfund site back in the day. The inland lakes, are you referring to that too? Yeah, well, we could focus some on that. That's a good point.
Maybe the recreation side can kind of be expanded instead of tied into the forest, the county forest. We just expand the recreation side to include recreation opportunities, including the lake. And not just recreation, as you mentioned, commercial. One thing is there's no commercial fishing gonna happen in Ashland County because all the licenses are in Bayfield County. But yeah, we could still use their products here.
I'm trying to think how many lakes we even have in Ashland County.
Not as many as Bayfield County.
Yeah.
Do the marinas generate any kind of county income?
Well, the one downtown here is the city owns it, so they could get all the revenue from it. We own Second Landing, but we don't really charge for that. And then we have the boathouses, which is an issue that we'll have to deal with in 2030 or something. Where they pay like literally $20 a year for their boathouse. So no, and they don't pay personal property tax because it's not worth having it resurveyed to get $1 in taxes.
To answer Beth's original question, what we see right now was in the 2016 plan and has the additions of maybe 3 people in it. So this is literally the first time it's ever been publicly talked about in more than 10 years. So that, I mean, that's why none of that stuff is in here. And so if we need it in here, we need.
I think also keep in mind that all the water in Wisconsin is under DNR authority. So we really are restricted to what we can say or do, anything in the water or above the water.
Thank you. I recognize that. I'm just wondering, is the lake or our inland lakes potential for economic, this is about economic development of all sorts. And so if it makes sense to me, I know we're basing this on Burnett County or something, and that might be why that the mention of Lake Superior wouldn't come up. But I also realize that there's lots of things that we could say that haven't been said yet. And I'm wondering when that happens.
It happens right now as we're putting in objectives that these objectives, again, like Erica said, this is basically, we started with the 2016 plan as here's what we had. And that's where some of these comments of like, do we still need this type thing? Because it was the previous plan is what seeded this. And then, yes, things that were added saying, hey, somebody thought, hey, we should add this or that or whatever through this process. This is the time. If you have something that in economic development that needs to be added, this is the time to do it.
And the supervisor that was assigned to this section to collect ideas has rolled off of the committee.
A lot of the local lakes are all developed real estate wise. I don't know what kind of economic development you get off them.
Well, I think I look at the lakes inland and Lake Superior as a more of a tourism draw in terms of economic development than any other commercial aspect. I mean, we had timeless timber's no longer. I don't see that happening again. The permitting that the DNR had to do with the timeless timber to even get those, I don't think anybody's going to try that again. And so I don't know surely there might be something that could come along, but more draws of like what the city's doing with the ORDOC and stuff like that to try to increase tourism and the appeal of the area is kind of where I see economic development happening with the lake is as tourism, recreation side, and not necessarily business oriented, but it could be tourism business, but everybody wants to go up into the islands and it's a lot closer from Bayfield than it is. And Madeline Island's expensive to get to, so.
This is Elizabeth Franick. I have comments.
Go for it.
I would like to see something added towards the education of solar panels or solar fields, so people that are in the decision process could know what the cons or pros and cons of that are. And also, I'm not sure if anywhere in our comprehensive planning do we have anything about out of the box education and prevention of crime. I'm not sure where that would work into our planning stage. Thank you.
So I think that we might have an education on renewable in the utilities section. I was trying to look for it. So I think it's there, but if not, I think that's where it would go through, would be a better spot for, rather than economic development would be in the utilities. So Liz, if you want to look,
Thank you.
if you want to look at that section and see if there's one there and suggest something, that would be great. And then on crime, I agree that probably crime prevention probably should be in a county plan. And I don't know if we have anything on law enforcement and where that would fit in.
Thank you.
It might be placed within intergovernmental relations, that part of the 9-step plan.
So, something to think about where some of these things might fit in, as we move through this process. Paul, you had something. Okay. Okay. George, go ahead.
You're muted, George. George, you're muted. You can't hear me.
I wanted to say I ratify the point that there are aspects of economic development scattered through the other sections of the plan. So if I wanted to talk about solar working and wind with agriculture as economic development, but that's in the agricultural section. I want to talk about forestry developments in the natural resources section. I want to talk about data centers, it's in the utility section. So almost anything in economic development has another place in the plan as well. So I'm in favor of not being redundant here.
Well, I think there will be some redundancy in the economic development section because of how that works, but I think we've done a good job. Is there anything else on those last few? The ones on the screen are now M, N, and O, but it might have been, well, it might be a little bit different ones that, in your book, M, N, and O, we haven't talked about, agricultural incentives. Is there anything else before we move on?
No, there's one. Yeah, I have one. I don't know if we covered this, but it relates to agriculture, but our farmers have to transport their milk like 100 miles or more and so I don't know if we have somewhere in here the idea of food processing capacity, looking to a possible future food processing capacity for local farmers.
Yep, we have helped build the local demand for locally produced food and forest products.
F,
Okay,
J,
thanks.
and M, George.
Okay.
But they've changed.
I totally agree with you, George. I wish that we had like a cheese factories like the old days and milk production centers. Like Benoit had the Reload, and then now it's a cheese house. So that's where they used to ship the milk. I was a dairy farmer's daughter for many years.
So, all right, to the intergovernmental cooperation goals. So the overall goal is achieve a high level of cooperation and consistency among local governments and the governmental partners, including neighboring counties, tribal governments, state and federal agencies, and government associations. Wordy. Go ahead, Beth.
I'm sorry, but well, now I'd like to introduce things that weren't on the list, the bulleted list, for consideration and inclusion in the plan as ideas. So I'm not done with and the economic development one.
Oh, I didn't see you when I thought anything else. I didn't notice.
Well, I just thought we'd talk through all of the ones that were listed. So I don't know quite how to do this, but one thing that I thought was curious is I believe that the tribe is our largest employer. So it's interesting to me in the county. It's number 1 or 2, right?
Yeah, the school district's number 1.
What is?
The school district's number 1.
Okay. Either way, it feels like our number 1 and 2.
The school district is the biggest employer.
Ready?
And Reading is not bigger than the school.
Oh.
They're either 2 or 3.
Anyway.
I figured the hospital is probably up there. And I also thought in the school district. So I'm wondering if we acknowledge that in our economic development in some way, since they're very critical to at least jobs, or if they belong in workforce development, I don't know. The other thing that we don't mention at all is the arts as an economic driver, which they definitely are here. And wondering if they deserve at least, a notice of support or from the county's appreciation and whatever we're willing to do for other types of industry, that we shouldn't acknowledge our artists and all of the economic development that they bring with them. So I'll start with those 2 ideas.
I think Erica has volunteered to come up with some wording on some of these notes that she's putting in there. But if somebody has suggestions on these, I think they do belong in mentioning, even though maybe we have them in different places. If you have ideas, I think passing those to Erica or to kind of put in, and then this is a kind of evolving document, and we're going to be coming back to all of these things with action steps. And so I think we can still add if we think, hey, we need to add one. The big thing is let's get it, like, let's make sure that we're coming up with what should be the objectives and not throwing too many, just like, hey, we need to include something like this. So let's go to make sure we're looking at these and writing down, and obviously directions weren't clear to add things that are missing, not just edit what's there, but add what's missing throughout the whole document so that we don't get stuck in the mud as we're getting closer to when we have to finish this and have to like keep talking about, oh, wish I would have done that. So as ideas come, write them down, bring them to the next meeting, or even go to the Word documents and put in comments there so that everybody sees them and we can kind of keep this up and maybe homework. But if we have specifics, that's going to be easier than making Erica write stuff based off of.
Well, I should clarify, these are Emily's documents, and I
Right.
really don't think she's gonna post a Word doc that anybody can go crazy on. So I think you need to send them to Emily.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
it's her job. And then we need to workshop that again.
Right.
The big changes.
Okay. Would that be preferable? But because I do have some written out too.
Yeah, if you
Should I read them now, or should I just send them all to Emily and we'll look at them when people aren't fried? Or
I think read them now and we can discuss a little bit and,
Okay.
but also send them to Emily. If you have stuff written out, send it to Emily. Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if we read it now, especially when we're talking about economic development, that helps us, the rest of the committee, to say yes or wordsmith it a little bit before it even goes to Emily. And maybe we don't have to revisit it again. So yes, by all means.
Okay. One of them is promote the reduction and elimination of waste, greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants, and the reuse of resource and materials by local economies. Because we haven't really said what type of, or we haven't really addressed waste, I guess. Greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants, and the reuse of resources and materials.
Promote reduction and elimination of waste.
Greenhouse gas emissions and pollutants, and the reuse of resources and materials.
Well, so yeah.
Okay, kind of getting at this idea that cooperatives, like was mentioned this morning by M, something like support a bottom-up economic development that celebrates and acknowledges the potential of Ashland County's historic, cultural, and natural resource assets.
Support a bottom-up economic development that supports.
Celebrates and acknowledges the potential of Ashland County's historic, cultural, and natural resource assets. Here's another one. Reduce barriers to education and social infrastructure and services that prevent county members from capitalizing on economic opportunities.
Do we have something like
Reduce barriers to education and
social infrastructure and services that prevent county members from capitalizing on economic opportunities.
Does the old N kind of deal with that one?
What's old end? Would you read it to me?
Ensure the adequate support of entrepreneurs and existing businesses so they can thrive in the county and provide stable living wage jobs.
It's really similar. I think this one is trying to get at equitableness because some people face more barriers than others. So reducing barriers. That's to prevent some people from reaching educational goals or attaining loans for starting and or expanding businesses. So that's the only difference.
Trying to think of how to like combine that so it's not kind of redundant in the objectives. Or did we get rid of that one? And I'm looking at an old one.
That prevent county members from capitalizing on economic opportunities.
What is a county member?
What's a county member?
Erica changed it to residents, and I think that's
Okay.
better.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm used to saying tribal numbers, I think. Okay. Mhm.
Any comments on these, Marcus?
I guess my question is, like, when you're setting goals, it feels like you want to have like 3 to 5 goals. Otherwise, what is the county's focus? Right now, we have, what, 15, 20 different goals. What is the county, what's the county's purpose? What's the county looking for in the future? If you're looking at this huge thing, you focus on nothing and nothing improves. So that's why I just wonder, it's like, how many things do we add? And then what actually gets done?
True. Just for semantics, is we have one goal of economic development and we have 20 objectives under that goal, which to your point is probably on the high side to focus. But I think this economic development one is going to be broader than some of the other ones because it touches on all of the other components of the plan. And so as George had highlighted earlier, there is some redundancy in some of these because we have the agricultural, we have the cultural, we have the forest goals elsewhere that says very similar things to these, that economic development. And I think we took one out last week that said, look at economic development section for more information on this goal. And so I think that's where, as we get this document, that will be this committee's job as a standing committee, is to go through and try to, like Charlie mentioned, is put them green or put them red, maybe even get rid of them. As we kind of make this a living plan, we saying, hey, this is outside the purview of what the county can do, or the county needs to do a resolution. That's going to be this committee's job going forward. The goal here with these meetings this summer that we have to get through by September, right? Is we are mandated to have a plan. And we could have said, hey, we're just going to take the 2016 plan and make that the 2026 plan. Do nothing. We could have done that. But as a committee, we felt that this is a good process to go through at this time. But we're now hitting against the rails. And so we have to still complete a plan. And then we can have some of the more of these more in-depth discussions of how they go. Go ahead, Terry.
Starting to agree with Marcus, it looks like we're throwing mud on the wall, to see what sticks. It just,
And there may be, and that's why we were going through each of these objectives. And if you don't like something, that's why we've talked about it, and we've had long discussions about the meaning of rule and whether that should be in here. We can have those discussions. Me personally, I feel that these three that we just kind of added here make sense along with what's going, that we're highlighting things that the county should be promoting or creating and doing to improve economic development. But there's gonna be a lot of them. Go ahead, Charlie.
The key word is comprehensive.
Yep.
We've got to look at everything. Will we get to it? You're absolutely right. We'll have 100 goals and we'll prioritize them. Some of them will say, this is what we would like the county to be like, but we can't do it. We need help. And I envision this document being sent back to the state with we did your plan. Here's what it is. Here's the green stuff. Here's what we can do. The yellow stuff will be stuff we're doing partially, but we need help at. In the red, we'll see this is what Ashland citizens want us to do, but we don't have the money. And then put it back on them because they made us do this, and it's great. Plan-driven government is great. I hope the state adopts a comprehensive plan someday. That's what I'm trying to do. But so we'll have all this stuff, but obviously we'll sit around and go, we can't do all this no matter what. We can say that right now, but we'll look and say, we'll optimize which ones would have the best benefit for the buck that we can throw a nickel at and we might get $1 back. And the rest we'll evaluate can or can't, and we'll know why. And then we'll go back to the state and say, help.
The test
So-
that a lot of counties put to their comprehensive plan between the objectives and the action steps is whether an objective can be made into an action step in some way. And so if we can't, maybe that's a reason to edit it out, right? Other counties just, have the baby and the bathwater and kind of everything, enough, like it all doesn't have to have action steps. I guess I'm a proponent of at least trying to tie action steps as much as we can, because if we actually think through the 4 questions, who's responsible, when, what are the resources, and what's the evaluation of that, then some of it becomes impossible. And then it also kind of asks the question, exactly what resources can we use to make that thing happen?
Go ahead, George. You're muted. You're muted, George. While we appreciate you muting in between, remember to unmute. George, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Oh, boy. Sorry again. I wanted to say that.
We appreciate the muting in between because we get a lot of feedback from you.
All right.
Just remember to unmute yourself.
Sorry. So my point was that we have 5 or 10 years to work on this plan once it's done. And this is like a long laundry list, a to-do list, and we'll prioritize and choose the first ones to work on first. But there's nothing wrong with having a whole bunch of items on the to-do list.
Yeah, I understand the hesitation, but I think that the more we put on here, there's avenues for Erica to get busier because of right. So, but I think it's good that we're putting it on there and because there are going to be county residents that do feel that we should be making this an objective within our economic development. And this is a county comprehensive plan, as Charlie mentioned. And so we need to make sure we're hitting all of those. And so if there's something specific that, hey, I don't think we need to do that, now is a good time to say no. But otherwise, I think throwing mud up on the wall is is the appropriate way to go about this at this point. So Beth, you got some more?
Thank you. In the interest of it being 4 o'clock, I'll just say that this morning held up a book saying the comprehensive plan, and I chased her down afterwards to say, sure, I will borrow that book. I've never sat on a comprehensive plan update committee again. And I'm wondering if anybody would be interested in going through it with me or whatever, or having a one-time, either a meeting devoted to it. It might get us all on the same page about what a plan can be or what it's used for.
While I think that probably would have been a great thing to do 2 years ago when we first started this process, I don't think we have the time to do that right now. We basically have spent the last 3 meetings, and we haven't even gotten through all of the objectives. We need to at some point say, we need to finalize a plan that we're all comfortable with. I think as a standing committee, I see this as a value. This used to be an ad hoc committee. Come do it, be done. As a standing committee, I think this opens up for us to do things like that. And 10 years from now, when we have to update this, it will be a very easy process. And we might not even have to hire Northwest Regional Planning because we've kind of gone through it and we've done it. And so I think that's a great idea for after we get the plan done. But it is true, it is 4 o'clock. I think we were trying to keep these at 2 hours. I'm willing to keep going if we want, as long as nobody tells me the England score. Otherwise, I do think we should set the next meeting at least before we finish.
Dates.
Yeah, I have it. It was shared with me.
Okay.
And so the next meeting, we'd like to have Emily here, and this doesn't preclude us from having one before this. If we want to get through all of these before Emily comes, maybe we want one before Emily comes. So I think 1 week is a little bit quicker turnaround. So maybe if we do 2 weeks from now, especially with next week is a holiday week. So we do another meeting on, let's say, without Emily, the week of July 6th. Probably not the 6th, but not the 7th. I'm double checking here. The 8th will work for me. That is of that week, the 8th is the day. 2 o'clock. Now, if somebody on my crew gets sick, I'm out on the water. I'm not going to be back by 2, unless somebody with a boat wants to come get me off the boat. So, but anyway, 8 o'clock on the 8th. 2 o'clock on the 8th. Thank you. Yes. Yep. And then I think we should do one 2 weeks from that with Emily. So that puts us the week of the 22nd. And I'm good on Tuesday and Wednesday that week.
Yep.
Tuesday the 21st, Wednesday the 22nd. Is it one of those work better? Either one. Okay, so next one for Emily will be the 21st. We'll finish up going through the objectives at the next meeting. On the 8th. And then we will, let Emily help guide us through the action. But in the meantime, I want to pull up the agenda here again. Should have had a paper copy. But we'll get to we'll start some of those action and still look at the draft plan elements as well, that have been kind of done, that's been on the agenda. So we'll basically keep the same agenda for the 8th and then hopefully have, basically the same agenda for the 21st with Emily. July 8th, 2:00. 21st at 2:00.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for all the new ones that volunteered. Marks, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Oh, bye.
Bye, Liz.
So, since Liz left, can I get a motion? Since we're not at the end of the agenda, we do need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
Move to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, motion and second. No need to vote, but we will adjourn.
Thank you, everybody.